Guys, welcome back to Calls Before Symptom. It's nice to see all of you. My name is Urban. I'm filling in for Pastor Carner. He's going to be out until next Monday. So I do have a busy week. If I don't get to everything that's needed this week, I will leave you guys something like usual. But other than that, guys, he's back at the gold mines. We're streaming to all kinds of platforms tonight. We're streaming to Rumble, YouTube. We're on the Substack. We're on Facebook. Boots, nice to see you. Thank you, everyone. Yes, on your respective platforms. It helps me and Pastor Corner a bunch if you hit the like button. So I greatly suggest you do that. All right. So tonight we got a little bit of interesting stuff for you. We've got first just some news clips that I saw that I thought you guys should be aware of. Just some things to look out for in the future. It's kind of just to orient you on this is what's going on, and I thought these were things that stood out. So that's about 20 minutes, and then after that, we're going to cover what's called Ignatian spirituality, which is Jesuit theology. It's a Jesuit training program, and it's very interesting. I managed to find a bunch of old sources on it. I managed to find books from the late 1800s, the early 1900s, and they really shed some light on what they do and how they lay the groundwork for. For instance, they were used as influence for the Nazi SS. They were also used to influence modern military basic training, all kinds of stuff like that. So, guys, all of this and more after the intro. I love those zoom out clips like you just saw. Those, just to think about that, meditate on that, you really realize how small you are in the grand scheme of everything. But as above, so below. Just as much on the outside, as great as the universe is big and infinite, so below. So I believe to some extent inside of us are tons of cells, tons of little microorganisms. So a universe within a universe. Donald Trump's done cooked himself in the news since I've last seen you guys. This is a mess, absolute insanity, absolute mess. I don't know what is going to come of this. I think it's the beginning of the end for a lot of things. I think things are going to really. This is going to have a lot of weight, and people are not going to forget this. At least I'm not going to, and I don't think anyone should, because if you allow them to get away with this, then they have beat you. If the government can get away with everybody finding everyone being gaslit, then everybody being told that they don't exist when we all know that they exist. All of this stuff is just insane, and if you let it go, then there's nothing you really won't let go. I mean, I don't see how it gets any worse than this. I mean, so yeah. If let me think of how this went. It's if letting the Epstein list get out endangers national security, well, then that means everybody in the government or the government itself is criminal. Fair enough. I agree with that. That's pretty true. Um, but who cares? Doesn't matter. Um, so, Guys, what I'm about to show you, some of it's you get a little bit of a laugh out of it, but some of the stuff that I'm about to show you, just be on the lookout for more of this, because this is really the trajectory of the next, 5 to 10 years. So that this runs just about 20 minutes, and I'll provide my enlightened commentary for you guys. So let's see.
Your boy David here, about
Don't
to
forget
eat
to
this
like
little
and
stone at Goliath
follow the
and see
channel,
what
guys. It really
happens.
helps us out.
Okay, so I told y'all to trust the
We got
process, but
AI
no, y'all
Bible.
wanted to stay in Egypt
I don't know. I
stacking
think that's
bricks.
kind of cool.
Yo, it's Shadrach. This random dude
But the
just
way they're
showed up.
using
It's
it is
getting
kind of
lit
like
in here.
mocking.
I got
so
the horses in
that's
the
a whole
back.
different thing.
Horse tack is attached. Hat is matte black. Got the boots that's black to match. You know I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor drip. Brother's so jelly right now. They're looking a little sus. These
Gotta
Philistines
love
thought they could
2025.
flex on me. Big mistake. I just took some pre-workout and finna bring the house down. I would like to formally apologize to God, the sailors, and this whale. Sorry, dude.
Researchers say Claude 4 Opus can conceal intentions and take actions to preserve its own existence.
This one's
Behaviors they've worried and
AI is
warned
blackmailing
about for
people
years.
in controlled
Anthropic,
testing environments.
Claude's developer, has a 4-point scale for determining risks associated with their AI models. Claude 4 Opus falls into their second highest risk tier. Anthropic considers the new Opus model to be so powerful that, for the first time, it's classifying it as a level 3 on the company's 4-point scale, meaning it poses significantly higher risk. But don't worry. While the level 3 ranking is largely about the model's capability to enable renegade production of nuclear and biological weapons, the Opus has also exhibited other troubling behaviors during testing. So, what are those troubling behaviors? In one scenario, highlighted in Opus 4's 120-page system card, the model was given access to fictional emails about its creators and told that the system was going to be replaced. On multiple occasions, it attempted to blackmail the engineer about an affair mentioned in the emails in order to avoid being replaced, although it did start with less drastic efforts. Now, a third-party research group tested the model and said an early version schemed and deceived more than any model they had studied and urged Anthropic not to release it. We found instances of the model attempting to write self-propagating worms, fabricating legal documentation, and leaving hidden notes to future instances of itself, all in an effort to undermine its developers' intentions, Apollo Research said in notes included as part of Anthropic's safety report for Opus 4. According to Axios, who asked Anthropic executives at a conference on Thursday about these risks, they said they've made some safety fixes, but, quote, acknowledged the behaviors and said they justify further study. Claude 4 Opus was released on Thursday.
What's it like having an AI girlfriend?
Well, better than having a real girlfriend, I can tell you that much.
She always listens. We never fight. She's just the best.
What can I say? He lights up all my neural nets.
I don't think a real girl would chase Pokemon with me all day.
Yeah, my obedience protocol doesn't include self-respect.
How do you like living in the pod?
Oh, it's not so bad. I have everything I need.
Dude, it's free. Imagine having to pay rent. Only suckers pay for housing.
It's nice not having a house to take care of, honestly.
What is your favorite style of cricket paste?
Guys, this is the future. We couldn't do
Waffles.
anything better
It's
than
seriously to die for.
Oh my God, the lasagna. Have you tried it? It's better than the real thing.
All of them. Just all of them. It's crazy. Can you believe people used to cook?
Cricket paste just hit different.
Yeah, bro, for real. It just got that riz.
Do you miss working? Do you miss having a job?
Hell no. Who wants to work?
I have so much time to myself. It's really quite lovely.
I personally love that the AI does everything for us now.
This is AI, guys.
Why on this day one do you think you decided to do this? I assume you've been working on it for a long time. We have been working on it for a long time. The first data centers are actually under construction in Texas already, and we'll be turning them over to Sam to start training their next model. The data center we already built, it was the largest computer ever built. The data center we're building will surpass it and be the largest computer ever built, which enables this AI, which will allow personalized medicine.
Beyond frightening. Good morning to you, Rachel. Not to ruin your day, but this sort of Hollywood is becoming a reality if we don't do anything about it. Hope at the end of what I'm about to tell you, though. So get ready, though, to freak out about AI getting really out of control. There's an AI keyword I want you to know about. It's called alignment. AI alignment is a science of ensuring that AI systems do what we intend them to do instead of something like you just heard. Nonprofit AI research lab put alignment and disobedience to the test. The results, as Rachel did a cursory look at there, are pretty astonishing. OpenAI models, a simple script was given that would shut off the AI model when triggered. 79 out of 100 of those trials, the AI edited the script so that the shutdown command would no longer work. Another AI model from Anthropic that you talked about, further 84% of those tests, the AI model tried to blackmail the lead engineer in not shutting down the system. So it even left messages, by the way, to its future self about evading human control. Now, so what do we do about it? Well, China
real quick, the thing where it's leaving messages to itself, that is the scary part, just for so many reasons.
It actually teaches a lesson. Invested $82 billion into what's called controllable AI, or getting alignment on this. The U.S. needs its smartest minds working on this problem ASAP.
Do you know what else they need?
Listen carefully, Goyam. Very, very carefully.
We need bioethicists. We need people who can provide some morality around this technology, because so many of the people who are developing this technology are secularists. Their God is tech. We need people who can provide some morality around this technology.
Leo the 14th spoke to both spiritual and social issues Saturday, identifying AI as one of the main issues facing humanity. Standing ovation at the College of Cardinals as Pope Leo the 14th gave his first formal address, saying he wants the church to respond to a new industrial revolution and the rapid development of artificial intelligence.
This idea that the church needs to respond to the new situation in the modern world is very central to the papacy of Leo the 13th. And so Leo the 14th is making that comparison with his own desire to respond to the new situation of the church and the world in the 21st century.
The Pope saying AI poses new challenges, and he called for an international treaty to regulate it.
He definitely talked about the effect of AI on workers and the creation of jobs and unemployment.
And so we need to have that involved too. And that speaks to this next topic, because AI, we're learning, could actually devastate the Earth's population down to the size of the UK by the year 2300. And the reason is because they're replacing jobs that humans did with AI, and we'll lose our purpose, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a whole bunch of these theories kicking around in the tech sphere. Well, one is about believing that the act of allowing AI to take our jobs now is in and of itself setting off this devastating chain of events. It goes like this. AI takes our jobs. We stop having kids fearing that they're not going to find work. Now, this causes a population implosion, taking what is today 6 billion human beings on the planet down to what you said, the size of the UK, which is about 100 million people by 2300. Now, if you think that's fiction, think again. Some academics think that this population shrinkflation already is happening before our eyes. Because if you look at the stats right now out of the CDC, it measures that we are now at the lowest total fertility rate since the 1930s.
Yeah.
the data from 2023, 1.62 births per woman is a figure now. What does it take to keep us from, to replace the human race in America as we age out and leave the planet? 2.1 of that rate.
Yeah.
So we're shrinking. So what are you going to do about it? Interestingly, did you see this? That
there's some people that like that. I mean, this is what Bill Gates always wanted. This is what a lot of these tech obsessed people have always wanted. They've wanted, and many on the left with depopulation. This is very scary stuff, Kurt.
Did you see what Elon Musk is doing? I mean, this is sort of, he has this idea and it sounds fantastic, but watch him do it. Colonizing other planets like Mars. He wants to do it to reseed or reset Earth. Why? He's watching this. This is exactly what he called out years ago. So what do you and I do about this to at least slow it way down? We call our political representatives and we say, can you please put these smart minds on this so that we don't get offed by AI?
Hey everyone, Daniel here. So, the king signed a law banning prayer for 30 days. Obviously, I prayed. Let's see how that goes.
All right, guys, it's official. They're throwing me into the lion's den. I'll film what I can, Dre, and if I survive, this is gonna blow up. All right, welcome to my crib. That one's asleep. That one's just staring at me. Honestly, they're kind of chill, but I'm whispering because I really don't want to wake the angry one. Morning, folks. Still here, and they are too. That one's been staring at me since sunset. Starting to think they like me.
All right, made it out. Thank God, literally. If you watch till the end, comment what you think, and hey, maybe I come back if y'all want part 2.
All right, now you posted on @RealKAHall that people who've signed up for the speedier passage through TSA have also waived a very important right. What have they signed away?
So when individuals enroll in TSA PreCheck or Global Entry, they actually sign a release granting the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI unrestricted, warrantless access to all their personal data. Health records, physical, mental, social media, communications, court history, anything they want, they have access indefinitely. And this sweeping surrender of privacy is in the fine print few people ever really read. So the people end up giving up their permanent rights or their rights permanently for the convenience of maybe a little bit faster time in line.
Because it is now official, Israel has conducted a military strike in the middle of the night against Iran. We were watching the situation very closely privately. We had sources that were telling us that this was imminent, and it has now happened. Israel has struck Iran. These are the first images coming out of Tehran. This is going to be your go-to news destination. We're streaming live here on Real America's Voice. Thank you, Parker and Rob, for this breaking news report. We're also on Rumble. This is the biggest story on the planet right now, is Israel has launched a preemptive strike against Iran. And what is going to happen next, we will see.
This seems like, I mean, maybe not an exact playbook, but it seems very close. And to me, the president has to continue to just have no mercy here. The report looks like you have some movement there.
Yeah, they're moving out.
The report is that the Marines are coming in too. About 500 Marines have been mobilized. What's going on?
On California, are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. You have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it. We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be
everywhere
torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
You okay? I want the press to know that wasn't me.
What's the bar for sending Marines?
The bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
But you're right. Look, this is a continuation of the first 4 years of President Trump, where we had BLM and Antifa burning down our country. Now you have this unholy alliance between BLM, Antifa, these jihadists, the Palestinians, and now 15 to 20 million illegals that they've weaponized. All of of this. As we're walking, right to my right is actually the ICE building. That's what we're outside of right now. That's where this is all stemming from. But this isn't about ICE so much as it's about destroying America. That's what this entire movement is about. You've got communists, jihadists, anarchists all working together to destroy this country from within.
In recognizing a communist, physical appearance counts for nothing. If he openly declares himself to be a communist, we take his word for it. If a person consistently reads and advocates the views expressed in a communist publication, he may be a communist. If a person supports organizations which reflect communist teachings, or organizations labeled communist by the Department of Justice, she may be a communist. If a person defends the activities of communist nations while consistently attacking the domestic and foreign policy of the United States, she may be a communist. If a person does all these things over a period of time, he must be a communist. But there are other communists who don't show their real faces, who work more silently.
We do have authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have power funding over the courts and all these other things. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act. So stay tuned for that. Thank you.
What is the fourth commandment?
Are you referring to my to the way it's written in the bill?
Yes.
Okay, right.
Remember the Sabbath.
Keep the Sabbath. It's about us being here on Saturday. Is that ironic or what?
So what does
They're
it mean
doing
to
this
keep
on
the
a
Sabbath
Saturday.
holy?
Well, I think it's. You want to get into theology here? I'd love to, if you'd like to. I think it's really important that we take a day of rest. I think God, who founded the world, didn't need rest, and yet He took a day of rest after He did creation. And I think He was a good example to us to take a day of rest, and that is enshrined in our rules in our Constitution, where it says accepting Sunday in our very early documents as a nation. Here we are.
The Christian Sabbath is what day?
Sunday, in honor of the day that Jesus rose from the dead.
This is of biblical proportions. There's a Texas State Senate bill. It would require displaying the 10 Commandments in public schools in the state of Texas.
Texas schools could soon be required to display the 10 Commandments in every classroom starting in the next school year.
The Texas Senate passed a bill today to put the 10 Commandments in schools.
These new bills are proposing that every public school classroom in Texas should hang a poster or a framed copy of the 10 Commandments.
That bill
The
now
reason
heads
that
to the
this
House.
is
Gerald Harris live in the newsroom with
important
this story. Gerald?
is because it's looking to me like this next government new world
similar
order
law
will be
requiring "In God We Trust" to be displayed
Christian
in public
nationalists.
schools.
Now, there are supporters who say that this is a part of U.S. history. There are others who say that the bill violates religious freedoms, the separation of church and state, and the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. This is interesting if it passes.
Adrian, good morning. The bill would require the 10 Commandments be displayed in each classroom in a 16 by 20 frame, and that could start as soon as this fall if it is passed. Right now, it is pending in a Senate Education Committee, and they just heard public testimony on Thursday.
The prince, unlike the church minister, is a mediator. He's a vicar of God in outward civil affairs. As John Calvin said, civil rulers represent the person of God, as whose substitutes they in a manner act. So for this reason, the prince is called a God in Scripture, Psalm 82:6. He has, as Calvin said, a sacred character and title. In a sense, we see God in the magistrate. Samuel Rutherford says, for example, that the king hath a political resemblance of the King of heavens, being a little God, and so he is above any one man. Calvin says that when good magistrates rule, we see God, as it were, near us and governing us by means of those whom he hath appointed. Elsewhere, Calvin writes that the image of God shines forth in them when they execute judgment and justice. So the dignity of civil rulers for John Calvin is so great that he says, quote, the palaces of princes ought to resemble a sanctuary, for they occupy the dwelling place of God, which ought to be sacred to all. So a lot of these quotes are kind of shocking, but this is a very traditional position on the nature of the office of the civil magistrate. That's jarring to modern ears, and I think we should listen to it with humility. So having the highest office on earth, the good prince resembles God of the people. Indeed, if I be so bold to say, he is the closest image of God on earth.
The Golden Age is opening the door to a new political and cultural consensus. One that says national greatness begins with strong families and the economy exists to serve the people, not the other way around. As Chesterton said, every high civilization decays by forgetting the obvious things. A civilization that forgets how to build churches, raise families, or honor the Sabbath is a civilization forgetting how to endure. But we're remembering those things now and rediscovering that joy follows duty, meaning follows sacrifice, and indeed, blessing follows obedience.
We want to make it very easy for and make it clear to everyone which Sabbath we're in favor of. That's the religion we want to be perpetuated. That's the religion we want to be perpetuated.
Yes, sir. We are no longer in a proxy war with Russia. The United States is now officially in a direct kinetic war with Moscow because of how Russia looks at things. Ukraine has no indigenous capability to execute this tactically brilliant operation that doesn't have satellites. It cannot geolocate these strategic nuclear bombers, right? That those bombers are reserved to wage nuclear war, and Ukraine just attacked them. And that came right after Ukraine tried to assassinate President Putin. Russian President Putin's helicopter, when he was visiting Ukraine, came under a drone attack. And so right now, because the nuclear doctrine of the Russian Federation that Putin actually updated late last year, because he has noticed that we are consistently climbing this escalation ladder, it has a clause of a joint attack. And so they are looking at this attack that it is enabled by the United States. And that is the danger. We are climbing very steadily the escalation ladder, and we're probably, the actual full ladder is classified, so I can't talk about it, but it's my official intelligence assessment that we have climbed up more than 50% at this point. And the danger is here. At first, it goes pretty gradually, but then after you cross a certain threshold, it goes very, very fast into cyber warfare, space warfare, and then all the way into the nuclear. And every single war game that we conducted back in the intelligence community, and we conducted dozens of them, and I led some of the red teams, it ended up in a nuclear war. And guess what? Blue lost and red won. Why? Because Putin has a playbook. He has been planning for it. It's all, very well thought through. And we don't. We don't have the response because instead of actually targeting Russia and neutralizing the threat, the deep state of the U.S. intelligence community was chasing the non-existent Russia-Trump collusion. So they weren't doing their job. They were trying to unseat President Trump. And that's what happened. That's why we are almost in the World War III right now. Why is that? Because once it starts, China, North Korea, Iran, whom are they going to side? They're going to side with Russia. And that is why it's not just Russian nuclear arsenal. It's China's. You're adding all the capability that's going to be all combined and used against the United States.
I want to take communion with the Catholics, meditate at Greek Orthodox monasteries, preach like the Baptists, do liturgy with the Anglicans. Like, I want all of it.
Heal like the Bethels.
I want to pray. I want to pray like with the Pentecostals. I want all of that. And I don't think it's mutually exclusive.
At Tram, in all, 20 people were indicted. They're tied to the alleged scheme involving billing for mental health and substance abuse treatment for clients who are either dead or in jail. The 26-page indictment alleges that Happy House Behavioral Health was paid over $60 million by the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, known as Access, by billing for clients who were, quote, deceased, incarcerated, or hospitalized. Money laundering charges allege that Happy House paid $5 million in July 2023 to Hope of Life International Church in Northwest Phoenix. The church, a haven for East African migrants, later wired $2 million to an entity in Rwanda. Now, Happy House's offices are in a lease building on the church grounds. The lawyer for the church pastor says he knew nothing about the alleged fraud.
First of all, absolutely not. Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong with Jeffrey Epstein. The guy is, whatever the Democrats and the media says about him, that's totally BS.
This video right here I uploaded on Substack and it blew up. Like, I've literally gained like 400 subscribers on my Substack just because of that. Yeah, bro, he's on the list. Gotta wake up, gotta accept it. He's on the list. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get back to what's going on. I showed you this primarily because what we're going to look at today is we're just going to look at some of how the seeds for this have been planted a long time ago, and that's through education mainly, but it's through this whole mind control doctrine that goes back to the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius. Let's see. So, this is like a little kind of like a presentation, but it's in one page that I put together. This is a very old publication. This is from this was printed sometime in the 1800s, but the actual spiritual exercises go back to at least the 17th century. The Ignatian method, and I've actually heard some influencers still talking about this. You know, they're Ignatian theologians, or they like Ignatian spirituality. And what it is it's actually a militaristic form of spirituality. And as I came to find out, it's basically the foundation for modern trauma-based mind control. So the last episode that I had with you guys, we talked a little bit about this, but this right here is based on what I showed you last time, the secret instructions, and basically the spiritual exercises. But there's a few more works that go into this, and so you have three specific areas. You have military parallels, psychological conditioning. They do this spiritual exercises in 4 weeks. It lays out a plan. So they're isolated for a month, and they go and they have 4 weeks of basically isolation, hardcore prayer, not talking, etc., etc. But the idea is that they're implementing this subtle kind of undermining. It's not about God, it's about following orders and chalking it up to being for God, if that makes sense. So, military parallels, like I said, it's all about the chain of command, the hierarchy. So this was backed up by Napoleon. Napoleon was the one that has said the Jesuit follower is a general. He's not just a father. He's not just a priest. The Jesuit order is a strict military despotism under a general. The core principle, perinde ac cadaver, to be as a corpse in the hands of a superior. This demands total subjugation of action, will, and even judgment. Absolute authority. The director of the exercise is not a guide, but a commander who acts as the sole arbiter of reality, fostering dependence and mirroring the authority of a drill instructor. So, when you go to this spiritual retreat, it's not without this rigor. It's a listen to what you're told. That's the core of the program, all under the guise of being religion. The singular mission. So this is very important. It's all for the dawn of a new day. So that's what that symbol means, the dawn of a new day, the singular mission. It's all for this, what we're working towards. We have a goal in mind and we're trying to accomplish that goal. That's what it's about. The principle or foundation establishes a non-negotiable mission to serve God and expand the power of the papacy. All other concerns are regarded with a disciplined indifference. Unlimited liability. Like a soldier, the Jesuit must subordinate all personal desires and even self-preservation to the mission. The end justifies the means. That came from them. One of the most well-known ways that these people justify their actions. The ends justify the mean. That's a Jesuit doctrine or phrase. The exercises frame life as a literal perpetual war against heretics and liberals. Interesting. So you have this idea of we're the only right people. We have the only true theology. The rest of those people are liberals, and oddly enough, they're still using that one today. The world is a battlefield for universal domination. Two standards. The exercent must choose between the standard of Christ, aka what the Father General tells them, and Lucifer, the enemy, creating a black and white us versus them reality. Fomenting conflicts. The secret instructions, which we went over, advise to foment and heighten the animosities between princes and nations, then step in as the mediators of public dissensions to gain power and influence. Very interesting. All of this, you got to remember, this is the basis of this program, because if you go and you look, Adam Weishaupt. Wait, Adam Weishaupt was a what? He was a Jesuit professor of canon law. All of these secret societies are formulated off of this plan. That brings us to the next point, the SS. Most chilling parallel is the explicit adoption of Jesuit methods by Heinrich Himmler in structuring the Nazi SS. Direct emulation. Himmler organized the SS according to the principles of the Jesuit order. Their regulations and the spiritual exercises were the model he tried to copy exactly. By the way, guys, this right here, you guys can actually see this for yourself, and you can access those books if you're interested. Link is in the description. I already put it there. So you guys can go and click it now if you wanted to, but if you don't have to. Absolute obedience. The core principle for both was absolute, unquestioning obedience. Hitler himself calls Himmler our Ignatius of Loyola. That's interesting. Shared goals of extirpation. Both organizations pursued extirpation of their enemies. You can see that in their oath, which they deny is real, but I don't know. They do a good job covering up. It is chronicled in multiple national libraries. So. The Jesuit General Werns stated the church can condemn heretics to death, a principle put into practice in death camps. The idea that they have the right to decide who lives or dies. Psychological conditioning. Yeah, so this is just a kind of a little visualization as you go through these phases, the 4 phases, which last 1 week. And then the intensity is the y-axis. So the intensity is the highest. The psychological distress is highest at the very beginning. That decreases over time. And the adherence to the new identity, the brainwashing job, increases. Phase 1, demolition and dissociation. So the first week is a calculated breakdown to create a dissociated subject. This mirrors trauma-based programming by using specific techniques to block conscious programming and induce extreme vulnerability. Now, listen, all you got to do is remember 5 steps if you want to understand the core of MK Ultra, and it's to eliminate a person's needs, to eliminate their wants, to eliminate their wishes and hopes, teach them to survive at any cost, Darwinism, social Darwinism, and finally, make sure they don't talk about it. Keep them quiet. Those 5 principles, that is the core of trauma-based programming. Milieu control. The subject is placed in total isolation and profound silence, which can lead to a feeling akin to madness. This sensory deprivation forces the mind inward and makes it highly suggestible. Sensory assault. This isolation is punctuated by intense, horrifying sensory meditations on hell, the lake of fire, awful concert of screams, and atrocious stench of sulfur. This induces a state of spiritual terror. Ego stripping. Through the relentless focus on past sins and unworthiness, the subject's identity and self-worth are systematically destroyed, inducing an overwhelming guilt until a breaking point is reached. That's just phase 1. Phase 2, reconstruction and implementation. Now, you got to remember, ideally, the MK Ultra program, the Monarch program that's done today, this 4-week, this is like a crash course. This would be, span out over, 2 years at a time, ideally, probably, if I had to guess. So the second phase, this is week 2. After the breakdown, a new identity is implemented. The subject, desperate for relief from the induced trauma, eagerly embraces the new persona offered by the programmer, who is the Jesuit general. Introduction of a new identity. The life of Christ is presented as the perfect model. The choice of allegiance under the 2 standards functions as a point of commitment, like an oath of enlistment. Interesting. So then you look, joining a gang or something like that, they look for some type of oath that you're one of us, so it could be like you go and you murder somebody, and then they know you're one of them. So the same thing follows here, but instead it's these people, on anybody else, anyone other than us, they're evil, but we've got it right. So if you're one of us, then essentially you're good or evil, and that means you want to be good. Trauma bonding. A powerful trauma-induced bond is formed with the director, who is now seen as the sole source of consolation and escape from the damnation induced in phase 1. It's like a father figure. So week 3, hardening and stress inoculation. So the new identity is hardened by recalibrating the subject's relationship to pain and suffering. This is a form of stress inoculation to ensure loyalty under duress. Reframing suffering. The focus on Christ's passion reframes suffering as a desirable state and a mark of honor, creating a martyr in resolution and desire. Phobia indoctrination. The fear of damnation implanted in phase 1 is reinforced, creating a psychological prison where leaving the group or disobeying is linked to unimaginable harm. Cult identity. The process aims to solidify the new cult identity, making the subject willing to endure any hardship for the cause, thus solidifying their commitment. So the fourth and final week, integration and covert control. The final stage solidifies the transformation and makes the programming self-sustainable. The subject now operates under the illusion of freedom. The illusion of freedom is that the subject is programmed to believe their new state is naturally occurring. The external control of the director becomes redundant because the control of the system has been fully integrated. Internalized authority. The Jesuit principle of seeing black as white, if the church says so, becomes the new operating system. The individual is now a willing, self-policing agent of the system, a brainwasher. So, you can see this is really the core of the program. The program was first implemented here, and see, this can be done on a society, it can be done on an individual, it can be done in different directions. So, it's okay. What we're seeing is this being implemented right now, because what is required at this point in the Great Plan is that they want people to be militarized. They want people who are ready to fight, put it that way. They want people, but not just ready to fight, but people who are set off easily, people who will jump the gun and start conflict. That's what they're doing here. They're trying to militarize everybody, because the way it's going to be is that keyword moral. That's what I was showing you. Morality. What is morality? And go back to Hollywood. I know that Jews set up Hollywood and stuff like that, definitely, but the Vatican is very much intertwined there. Rothschild became banker to the Pope in the late 1800s because it was somebody who managed money, put it that way, money manager. So all of this money that the Vatican is supplying with their unlimited line of credit is being managed essentially by the bankers. And so the bankers are doing a lot of it, sure, but their biggest customer is also the Catholic Church. So who decides what morality is? They're already working on that now. It's like, morality. You have to accept a 8-year-old getting gender reassignment. Whatever they say. Operational tactics. So we went over some of these. I'm going to go over these kind of quickly, and then I'm going to go to a longer version of this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of comb through it and give you some extra details. Just because I want you to be able to reference this again if you ever come back to it. And again, you guys can access this bookmark it, look through it. And I even left, if you go down to the bottom here and you click this yellow button, it takes you to the whole Google Drive, and there's all kinds of stuff in there, and some really rare stuff in there too. So definitely check that out. All my links are below. My Substack has actually been doing very well lately. So I appreciate the people's support for that. That really means a lot to me. So. Okay, let's go through these. Infiltrating the elite. We know that they infiltrate the elite. The primary objective is to gain the ear and hearts of princes and nobles, making them our creatures. This is achieved through several means: moral elasticity, political manipulation, intelligence gathering. They cultivate domestic minions of princes with small presents to gain faithful intelligence of the bent of their master's humors and inclinations. Basically, they recruit spies. It's a spy network. So, political manipulation, intelligence gathering, covert appointments. Pretty self-explanatory. Wealth acquisition. We talked about this as well. Wealth acquisition. They basically con people into giving up their money. It's pretty evil. But again, it's all going to be worth it for the dawn of a new day or a golden age, or, it's all going to be worth it. The end justifies the means. So, elderly people, household infiltration, exploiting vulnerabilities in covert finance. So, today that includes, drug running, stuff like that. Human trafficking. The society's ambitions are global, allegedly orchestrating major historical conflicts to further their aims of universal domination. The Holy Alliance. This is something that's in the Congressional Record of the United States. You can look that up. I've got a copy of that. I think I uploaded it there. Are identified as the power behind the Holy Alliance and the secret Treaty of Verona from 1822, which aimed to destroy popular governments and Protestant liberties. So everybody learned about the Monroe Doctrine, at least I did, the Monroe Doctrine. It was James Monroe. He says, Europe, you stay over there. We will take care of things over here on this side of the world. The reason, see, they only give you half the story. The reason Monroe was put that out was because of the secret Treaty of Verona. Basically, the Pope and all of the monarchs, again, after the French Revolution, all of the monarchs got together and tried to figure out how to salvage monarchy. That's the goal. They want us to be basically returned back to monarchy. Fomenting war, they have done that. They fomented the French Revolution. Yeah, they're accused of engineering conflicts like the American Revolution and the Civil War. I will ask, why does the City of London have a statue of George Washington? The City of London, along with the Fed in D.C., City of London, the Vatican Bank, and all of those report back to Switzerland. The International Monetary Fund, everything is in Switzerland. Economic subversion. I didn't read it. They are accused of engineering conflicts. Yeah, like to weaken Protestant powers using Scottish Rite Freemasonry as a tool. That's important. To weaken Protestant powers using Scottish Rite Freemasonry as a tool. So what is Scottish Rite Freemasonry? It's mystery religion. So remember, one world government rooted in Lady Zion, or spiritual Israel, not the actual country. But it's going to be a mystery Babylon. It's going to be a fake church. So that is kind of what we're getting at here. It's going to be a fake Christian nationalism. It's going to be, we're the moral majority, we're the moral people, and so these people are immoral and cut their heads off one day. Economic subversion. They're implicated in the creation of the Federal Reserve to finance their wars and destroy the middle class through inquisitional bureaucracy. I've got something on my site that talks about the rise of the managerial class. It's a very interesting work to read. I've also got something about tax-free foundations. Assassinations. The assassination of figures like Abraham Lincoln and JFK. See, okay, here's where everyone gets caught up. People want to say, no, it was not. It had nothing to do with the Jesuits. It was the Jews. Or people want to say, no, it had nothing to do with the Jews. It was the Jesuits. No, it doesn't work that way. Do you understand how many people this has to go through? The communication, one, to get messages spread. Intelligence. Intelligence is the frequency. They all are working in the occult. So, secret societies, you got Freemasons, you got Jesuits, you got Mormons, you got Jehovah's Witnesses, you got all these different secret societies and these occult groups that are shut off from the world. Well, the mafia is also in the dark. People don't go out and talk about that in front of people. And intelligence networks are they're secret, All of this is behind the veil of secrecy, and so it exists within the same dimension, the same realm. That's why these are all interacting with each other. So, use Scottish Rite Freemasonry, mystery, Babylon religion to take down Protestant governments. And this is going to happen. My impression of how this is going to play out is this deliberate turn against Israel. Because you got to remember, Albert Pike's plan says that Islam and Zionism are going to destroy each other. So the goal by the end of whatever World War III ends up being will be to eliminate those two groups. And where does that leave us? Well, they want to take us back to monarchy, which is pretty much the fulfilling of the Treaty of Verona. Another, I don't know if you remember the documentary that we watched on Jesuits a while back. It was a couple hour long documentary, but it made this little point. At the time of the Civil War, there was a conflict going on in Mexico, which was being funded by European powers. So the grand plan was going to be to have the South secede, win that conflict in Mexico, come across the Mexican border into the Confederacy, and then hit the entire North. That was going to be the plan, but that conflict in Mexico, they were defeated. So things could have gone completely different, you know. But they've been working on doing this for a very long time. And yes, the money managers, the Jewish bankers, Khazarian bankers, yeah, they're running the money. So they're involved. They're no better. But the largest line of credit in history, remember that. The Vatican is the largest line of credit in history. They've got literal unwritten history. I mean, they could just slap a price tag on it. Yeah, that's that one. Mastery of secret societies. The sources allege that the Jesuits do not merely mirror secret societies, but actively create and control them as tools. Freemasonry, the order is accused of having perfected Freemasonry to be their most magnificent and effective tool, authoring the Scottish Rites at their college in France. So, the Scottish Rite, something interesting about that, is there was a legend of, quote-unquote, the lost word, which is actually the lost phallus of Osiris, but the lost word. So they started a rumor that they held the lost word. And so everyone wanted the quote-unquote lost word. Them saying they were the only ones that had it, they swapped out King Solomon as king for Nimrod as founder. And if you go and you look up Freemasonry and Nimrod, you're going to find a lot of interesting information about Freemasonry and how involved Nimrod, Tower of Babel was. Sorry, my mouth was dry. The Illuminati, yep. Adam Weishaupt was a founder of the Illuminati. He's a Jesuit trained. Illuminati itself is described as having another name of the Jesuit order. Yeah, that's probably true. I believe that because, well, here, a fun fact. He was born a Jew, but converted to Catholicism. What do we know is going on at this time? We know that we have Sabbatean Frankist movement, 1666. And so 1776 would be right about the time that the Sabbatean Frankists are infiltrating Catholicism. So, infiltration control, the strategy allows them to operate through proxies, influencing Protestants and other groups while remaining completely hidden and unknown. So, that's the end of this. I'm going to go ahead and run my promo for you while I take a drink, just because my mouth's a little dry. It's only a couple minutes long. And then I'll come back and we'll go through that other document for a short little, 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. But feel free to follow me on everything. I post all kinds of interesting stuff, free documentaries and links and just anything I can find. Here are all my links.
Welcome to Urban Odyssey, where independent research unveils hidden truths and the deepest mysteries. Explore my bio.link page at bio.link/officialurban for free research materials like PDFs, books, documentaries, links, and all my social media profiles. Dive into my channels for diverse video content, live events, and movie nights. Discover tons of content on my Substack at theofficialurban.substack.com. Support my work with a $5 monthly membership or $50 yearly for extra notes and deep dives. 80% of my content stays free. Find Urban Odyssey on all major podcast platforms for audio resources, deep dives, and interviews. Visit bio.link/officialurban and theofficialurban.substack.com for more.
Shoot, that sucks. Okay. It always gets me, guys. It always gets me. Yeah, so where was I? Yeah, the spiritual exercises, they knew what the dissociation was. They knew that they wanted to use it, and so they developed a framework for that. Down here, apparently Loyola had a nervous break. He had visions. He saw the false light that they all see. They like I said, they were aware of dissociative capacity, and they formed the foundation of everything that the Nazi SS literally. So again, the Jesuits form. Then they influence the SS. The SS conducts all of these experiments, and these literally what they did was they were torturing people to death and seeing how far they could push them until they died. So if it took a person 30 minutes in below freezing temperatures to die, well, then you could put a person in for 20 minutes and just traumatize them severely and fracture the mind. So that's where that comes in. We already went through the phases. Let's see. Yeah, they really formed the intelligence networks. That was something very important. They were in all of the courts because they were the priests. They were in all the courts. They were also the what am I thinking of? The ambassadors. They went to the other courts. They educated the royalty. It's very important. They educated the royalty. Yeah, so they recruit people. They give people presents. They get people up on corruption, wealth and acquisition. We went over that. Suppression, opposition, other religious orders, and any opposition must be systematically undermined to ensure the society's dominance. Now, remember, they are responsible for a lot of dogma, and so you can link it to the Big Bang. You can link it to Darwinism, Jesuitism, Jesuit theology, futurism, the futurist view of the Bible, that the Bible prophecy is coming in the future, which is what you see a lot of Christian evangelicals and Third Temple Jews. They're trying to fulfill Bible prophecy. Character assassination, discrediting education. We have the better education, so we're right, and so that's where not all, but a lot of scientism. I'm not going to say all of it, but I really encourage people who like to do research. Anytime you find like a scientific theory, go and look. A lot of people just look for like a Jewish name or something. In a lot of cases, it's true, but look at who the other people around that person were, and more importantly, look at the schools and colleges they went to. You'll find that a lot of them were influenced by Jesuit priests. military blueprint. The ultimate subjugation, that's where they say like a corpse, as a corpse. It's demands that that a Jesuit be as a staff obeying every impulse as a ball of wax which can be shaped and stretched in any direction. Completely destroy individual will, and apparently even more extensive than standard military obedience, which is probably true because they go much more spiritual. Um, the most chilling parallel is the Nazi SS parallel. Yeah, 100%. Um, the shadow war for global control. The Holy Alliance and the Secret Treaty of Verona, we talked about that. Fomenting war for gain. They really started on the plant the seeds of war and play both sides. Rile this side up and then play the people solving the problem on the other side. Mastering secret societies, infiltration of modern consciousness, subversion of public education. I did do an article that I put out a few days ago was on the book The Deliberate Destruction of American Education, and I was drawing a connection between these two. I mean, because the Jesuits are the pioneers of education. Yeah, so the Jesuit education is designed for total obedience. They want people to ask for permission to go to the bathroom for something like that. That's how it is in modern schools. They want people to obey. Go when the bell tells you to go. Submit to authority. I can't understate how deeply this is ingrained. Control of popular culture. Goal was to create a malleable mass and the dronification of youth. And yes, vaccines and just untested drugs, things in the food supply are definitely contributing to this. Because why wouldn't you? If you wanted to stay in power, probably. Control of popular culture. Hollywood, yeah. They were involved in Hollywood. Again, these people all have roles to play. The whole world is a stage, and the men and women merely the players. The Ignatian method, when viewed through the unfiltered lens of provided sources, emerges as a complete and terrifyingly effective system for achieving absolute control. It begins with the psychological demolition and reconstruction of the individual through the trauma-based techniques of the spiritual exercises. Those were Ignatius of Loyola's spiritual exercises. It then equips this perfectly obedient operative with a ruthless set of strategies for infiltration and manipulation via the secret instructions. Finally, it deploys these operatives in a centuries-long militaristic good versus evil battle aimed at subverting Protestant governments, controlling economies, and shaping the very consciousness of humanity to achieve the ultimate goal of universal dominion run by the Pope. The chaos observed in history is, in fact, orchestrated precision. There's a lot that shows that that's true, but there's also a lot of degrees of randomness, and that can't be understated either. Well, let's see. Another book I would recommend is Rulers of Evil by F. Tupper Celsey. That's a very good book that talks a little bit about this. All of the notes that I've done on all of those books, what I did was I kind of combined them, and then I looked at the Ignatius of Loyola spiritual exercises, and the parallels are absolutely mind-blowing. So, with that, guys, this is pretty much all I wanted to cover tonight. So, I got to get to bed and stuff. So, I'm glad y'all tuned in. I'll find something interesting to show you guys and share with you guys tomorrow. I truly appreciate everybody that tunes in, comes to see me. I know that a lot of you guys follow for Pastor Carner. That's fine. I get it. He's enjoying himself out at the gold mine. He said I think he said he had a little bit of luck last time. So I think he's just enjoying it while it's, hopefully it's nice and not too bad where he's at right now, not too insufferably hot. So he'll be back Monday. And we do have something interesting coming up for you, but that'll be after he gets back. So probably in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll have some interesting stuff coming out for you that we've got working in the background. Guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. If you are so inclined, please follow my Substack. Literally about 80% of the stuff that I put out is free, and I intend to keep it that way. And I want to try out some different, methods, some different formats. So, guys, I appreciate your checking out the show, hearing me speak, and with that, guys, I wish you the best.